Sketching.
Hi, Meg. Hi, Silvanna. Hi, everybody.
Hello. Welcome back, everyone.
Thank you.
Today we're gonna do sketching, so you need thin paper, eraser, and a pencil. We're gonna go back to portrait drawing, but today I want to focus on the eyes. So we're just gonna draw the eyes today. So sorry, let me see. May, are you, oh sorry, let me see if I, May, are you able to let me share video?
Yes, I will do that right now. Hold on. Okay, now you can do it.
Okay, thank you. So I'm gonna show you the drawing we're gonna do today. I just don't have my phone with me. So I'm gonna show you the picture right here. So we're gonna draw these set of eyes. And so you can take a picture right now if you like to have a for reference.
你们要拍照哈，今天我们画这个眼睛。
Well, just one eye or two eyes?
Two eyes.
Okay.
So I'll let you take the picture. If you're done taking the picture, I want you to look at as always, the big shapes, the outlines. And I'm gonna draw here on my screen first to show you the big shapes we're going to do first. So also look at the spacing between the eyes. So usually the space, sorry, let me just try to draw here. So usually the space between one corner of the eye to the other corner is about the same as the space between the two eyes right here. And this space is about the same here. So this line right here, you would divide it into threes. So 1, 2, 3. So that's usually because I know a lot of times it's hard to get the spacing right. So initially you can just draw a line and divide it into 3 equal parts. So you know that this would be like our third eye right here. So this space is the same as this space on most people. And I also want you to look at, usually when we start drawing eyes, we tend to focus a lot on the detail here, but we want to look at the entire area. So this space here. I usually like to start by drawing the eyebrows. And then I usually do like a hexagon shape right here, just so I know that's the cavity of the eye. And then I do the almond shape right here. Okay, so this is just a brief explanation of what we're drawing. So I hope everyone have their picture now. We're gonna get started. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. So the first thing we're going to do is just there we go. A line. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it's just an indication And I'm gonna divide that line into 3 equal parts. So I take my first section and transfer it here. That's my second spot. And I take my first section. Oh, I think that's I have to move it over here just a little bit. Sorry, I'm just gonna look at my picture really quick.
We lost your screen.
And yes,
Okay.
there we go. So the first thing I like to do is I like to imagine where the eyebrows are, just so it gives me a little bit of a guide or guideline here. These are not the actual eyebrows, just a guideline here. And I like to draw the space of where the eye is. So once I have that space, and my little, I don't know what shape this is, but basically here at the top is straight. It comes down here and forms a little angle, goes underneath my straight line. You might wanna, if you want, look more closely to the reference picture. Just because my phone is not working, I don't have it in front of me. I have it on my iPad, but I can't plug out or get out of Zoom to look at it. But that's okay. So after I have my 2 shapes right here, and remember, these are just guidelines. I'm gonna draw a point of where to start my eye, and it's in that little space right there. And I'm gonna start drawing an almond shape that ends higher than this line. You can either do the same line here or finish one eye and then go to the other one. It's up to you. I usually like to do one eye first and then the other one. And then I'm gonna draw a rough circle right here for where the actual pupils are. And a line here at the bottom, but I start here in the center, I go up a little bit and then come down.
Savannah, the pupil is about 1/3 of the eye itself, right?
Sorry, do you mean the
middle of the eye, the black eye, the black thing of the eye is about 1/3 of the actual eye.
let me just quickly look at the picture. It depends on how, sorry, let me just look at the picture really quick. So you mean this little black part here?
Yeah.
It depends. It depends on, sometimes we do have our pupils are a little bit dilated and they look bigger. In this picture, because she has a lot of reflections, we don't really see how big it is, but yeah, roughly about 1/3 maybe from this half. But we're not gonna draw it right now. So what I'm doing right now, so we did this big shape right here. So now I drew this one right here. And we're gonna draw this circle. So look at your drawing and see that this space is smaller than this space. So if you look on your drawing, make sure that the white space of the eye on the left side of the drawing is just a bit smaller than the right part. And you see that we don't see a full circle. A lot of people draw a full circle like this inside the eye. We never see a full circle for the iris of the eye unless our eyes are wide open. So you want to make sure you just draw half a circle, maybe a little bit more than half. Notice that I'll change the color right here. Notice that here is not completing the circle like that, but it's just cutting it off. And here it's a straight line. And notice that even though I do, let me change the color again. Even though I change or I drew this part very long here, the bottom, the line at the bottom doesn't go all the way there. It goes maybe up to here. So that's something you want to watch or on your drawing. And also look at the upper eyelid. See how close or open the eye is. So I'm gonna go back to my drawing. So, oh, sorry. Okay, there we go. So like I was saying, you draw half a circle or maybe 2/3 of a circle here. At the bottom is kind of straight. And then you go up here. Don't go all the way to here, just here. And look at the upper eyelid and see how open or how much of the iris you can see. And now we're gonna draw the fold here. So one thing you want to look at is proportions. The most important part of a drawing is how big or small things are compared to the rest of the drawing. So if you notice that your iris here is very small, not covering much of the entire eye, make sure you make it bigger, or the space between the two eyes, that's very, very important. And at this point, continue to use very light pressure. I'm doing a little bit more than what I need so you are able to see it better, but just in case we need to erase stuff later. And now let's go with the eyebrow. So for the eyebrow, let me share my screen again. So for the eyebrow, we're going to look at the space in between. So I wanna know where it starts. So my eyebrow starts about here. And always compare your drawing to the rest of the drawing. So if I were to continue to go down, it starts roughly where your eye starts. So look at your eye on your drawing. Look at this inner corner and go up. That's where your eyebrow starts. And if you're not sure how tall or where to start, so we know it's, let me measure. So it would be, so if I take one measurement from the corner of the eye till the end of my pupil here, let me erase this other stuff here. So if I were to measure the inner corner of my eye to where my iris ends, this measurement is the same as from here to where my eyebrow starts. So that's something you can look at on your drawing. So again,
Are you talking about the purple line?
yes, so I'm just measuring this space. This space is the same length as from the inner corner to where the eyebrow starts. So the idea is that you always look at your drawing and measure things against each other as we've done in the past. So if I look at my reference picture, if I look at the inner corner of her eye and I go to where it ends here, the iris, this, let's call it space number 1. Space number 1 is the same size as from the inner corner to where the eyebrow starts, that's space number 2. So these are the same. So I know that I have to start my eyebrow over here, and it actually ends over there as well. And so I know how tall I need to make it. And from side to side, I know that I can just pick the inner corner again and just go up. That's where it starts as well. So this is in a horizontal plane, because sometimes we start the eyebrow over here. That's not going to be correct. So go from the inner corner up. That's where your eyebrow starts. So let's do it. I'm just going to erase all this. And now that I'm here, look at this line right here. It starts in the inner corner here. And as I go up, it goes farther and farther away from this line. So it's a curved line. As I go up, it goes wider and wider, and it ends right here. It doesn't touch the end of the eye. So let's do that. Okay, so this line, I need to make it a little bit that is, so it starts right here and then it goes up along the edge. There we go. I have too much stuff here. I'm just gonna clean it up a little bit. And so we set from point number, so from the inner corner of my eye, so from point number 1 till point number 2, which is this area right here. I measure that and I bring it from the inner corner of my eye up here is actually just where I put my line first. So that's where my eyebrow starts. And that's my basic shape. We're gonna add a lot more detail with once we start shading the shadows and highlights and all that stuff. I'm gonna let you catch up and then we're gonna start with the other eye.
For the eyebrow, when do you start curve going down?
The curve going down. I like to usually do it if I imagine the nose is over here. So I kind of rotate my my pencil like this. And once my pencil is in the middle of the center here, right here. So you see it's going right through the eye, through the center of the eye, where the pupil would be. That's roughly where you kind of start going down. So let's imagine this is not the actual pupil, but let's imagine it's right there. Roughly, that's where I like to bring it down. This is a very rough outline. Once I'm going with a little bit more detail, I will change the shape as needed. Because this is just for me to know where I am going to place. But eyebrows, anytime you do hair, you do it eyebrows and eyelashes, I like to do it hair by hair. So as I'm doing it, I might change the shape as needed. So roughly maybe it starts to go down over here. If you look at your eye, maybe over here, but this might change in a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
Silvanna, I just want to say something to the students that I'm leaving early today.
Sorry?
No, I just want to tell the students that I'm leaving early today in case they have questions
Oh,
for
okay,
me.
no worries.
Yeah. 今日我會早走啊，大家。如果你上完課嘅咧，尤其是嗰啲新學生咧，你有啲咩問題咧，你打電話俾我啦，或者 send email 俾我嚇。
Now we're gonna start on the left eye. So I'm gonna do one last sharing of the screen to show the lines that we wanna attempt to draw. Sorry, I'm just fixing my camera right here. So same idea. Let's start with the corner of the eye. That's the first line we did. It ends right there. So my first line, I usually do the eyelid here, and I go past this line right here. So that's my line number 1. Remember, this is the dot that we did in the beginning. So I go past, so I touch it and go up this way. And then I do my 2/3 of a circle right here. So you wanna try to see your reference photo and see how big this is. How big is this white space? And for the lower line, eyelid, we go up a little bit, go down, and up again. Remember, don't go all the way here, just end right here. And for the crease, it starts right here on the corner, inside corner of my eye. Go up, flat at the top, go down, but I don't touch it. And for the eyebrow, this one starts right here, roughly right there. So if I were to draw a straight line down, it's actually a little bit further in than the corner of my eye. So you want to make note of that. How tall? Just make sure it's straight from the right side. And then for the eyebrows, I notice her eyebrows are kind of flat at the top and they start to go down just at the corner of her eye. That's where I make my line down. Here's a little bit of curve. So if this is a lot of information, don't worry about it. But if you're able to see where I'm coming from, that's great. It's always nice to know why we're doing things. So like I said last class or the other time we're sketching, you want to spend 2/3 of the time looking at the reference photo and only 1/3 of the time looking at your drawing. Sometimes we spend too much time on our drawing without actually looking. So flat at the top, right here starts to go down, which is on the outer corner of my eye. And it ends just past this line right here. So we're gonna do that. Sorry, just 1 second. I'm just trying to take a picture here of the drawing so I don't have to go back and forth. Go. Okay, so like I just mentioned, you want to make sure the space between the two eyes is about the same as 1/3 eye if we were to draw one right here. And I'm gonna start with the upper eyelid. I go up here. You want to make sure they're roughly on the same level here. Drawing the first eye is easy, but the second one is harder because it kind of needs to match. They don't have to be identical, but they need to look similar enough. So remember, from the inner corner, we go up a little bit, down, and we connect to my first dot, my first line right there. And we're gonna do the pupil here. It's always rough to do the second one that has to be the same side as the other one. That's the main thing. So this is, I measured the right one, and I want to make sure that's the same size. I need to make it a little bit bigger, just a tiny bit. And then from this inner corner here, I go up, then straight, and then a little bit wider or farther apart from this line. we said her eyebrows were very straight at the top, so I'm just gonna erase this part. And we said they start to go down where my first line was right here, the very first line on the line here. So I go up, so they were straight, and they go down right here. And they are curved on the lower side. This is just a very, very rough outline. We'll erase some of these lines. And on the left side, we said it started just a little bit to the right from the center of my eye. And I make sure they're on the same level as the right one. And I said they start to go down on the outer corner. So I look at the left corner of my eye and I imagine a straight line going up. Right here is when they start to go down. And that's our very basic outline. I think we can almost start with the fun part, which is the shadow and all that stuff. So if you like, we could draw an indication of where her pupils are. They're not going to be round because she has a lot of highlights. So just a little bit of they look like a triangle here, but don't worry too much about it. It's just for us to know where the center of the eye actually is. So after you're done with the outline, you can start erasing all the lines that you don't need. And for this drawing, you can, if you have charcoal drawing, you can use your charcoal, it'll be faster. And your darks will be darker, but if you can also use your pencil, of course, will look nice as well. Maybe we'll do one tiny line indicating where the nose would be. So usually we have from the eyebrow, we have a curved line like this. That's going to be shadow. And here as well. So you don't have to do this areas, it's just for you to know where it's going to be darker. So always take a step back, measure your distances from one spot to the other one. Measure the distance between the two eyes. And once you're happy with the outline, erase all the lines that you don't need. The very first hexagon shape you can erase. So while you finish this outline, I'm just gonna review for those of you who want to do this with charcoal. I might do just one eye with charcoal and the other one with pencil. It'll look strange, but I wanna go over both because I know some of you may have charcoal. So make sure you finish this and then we will go over it. I'm just gonna do a quick reminder of how I like to use charcoal. So with charcoals, remember, the darks are very strong, they're very dark. So I like to start, if you have different types of charcoal, make sure you use the one that says, sorry, where's the camera? Soft. If you only have one, that's fine. So with charcoal, remember, I like to grab a piece of scrap paper, not on your actual drawing, but I like to color one area, make sure it's very dark, and I like to use a dry brush that is only used for charcoal. And I grab the powder here, and then I transfer it to my drawing. Let's say this is my drawing. I slowly transfer. If you don't have a brush that you use only for charcoal, you can grab a little bit of, or you can use a Q-tip or a piece of towel, paper towel. It'll be about the same. So anytime, so let's say I have a diamond shape here. Let's say the bottom half is dark. So anytime I grab charcoal on my brush, I start on the dark area. Even if I want to paint the upper part, sometimes I can grab too much. So to make sure I'm not grabbing too much, I always start on the dark area and then slowly go up. If you use the Q-tip, you may grab quite a bit more than with the brush, so be careful. So let's get started. I am going to do the left side with charcoal and the right side with pencil. You use what you want to use. I'll try to do both at the same time. The only time I use charcoal directly on my paper is when I have very dark areas, like the line right here is very, very dark and is very defined. So I'm gonna use my charcoal directly, my charcoal pencil. So let's do that first. I'm gonna erase this eye a little bit because sometimes it picks up better if there's not too much graphite from the pencil. So let's do if you have pencil, grab your pencil with a little bit more pressure this time. If you have a set of pencils, grab a B number, maybe a 2B or something like that. So we're gonna do this. And I'll do this side. You can do both, or you can go along with me doing both. So I'm gonna do this line a little bit, just a little bit darker. The next line I'm going to do is the eyelid. I am still going to use my charcoal directly from the pencil. Make sure you're able to draw a fine line. Not too much pressure this time. I am doing it a little bit fast just because I want to show you on both pencil and charcoal, but you can take your time. And now let's do this outer line here. It's a very dark but thin line.
Silvanna.
Yeah.
Some of them have the full set of drawing pencil up to 6B. So if they were to use the 4, 5, or 6s, it will be just as dark as the charcoal, right?
Yes, it'll look a little bit different.
Okay.
But yes, it will. And I will go with darker pencils.
Mm-hmm.
I will start to mention. So for the eyebrows, I will do maybe a 5 or 6, and for the shadows.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, 2 or 3B is fine. Even though they're darker, it's just charcoal does not reflect light as much as graphite, so it will
Okay.
still look different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it will look nice anyways. I just want to show you both techniques. Yeah, so for now, if you're doing this hard lines, you can do maybe a 3B, 2 or 3B. So that's my 3B. And now I'm gonna start drawing a little bit of the shadows. So let's use our 3B and just color the inside here of this. I'm just gonna do these shadows a little bit fast so you know what to draw, but you can also look at your reference pictures. So I did this shadow right here, and I want to do the eyelid. So as I get closer to this upper line is a little bit darker. As I go down, it gets a little bit lighter. And right now, make sure you put light pressure. If we need to make it darker later, we will just put more layers. And I'm just gonna do a little bit of the shadows right here. If you have the charcoal, do this technique I showed you earlier with your dry brush. Just get another piece of paper and you just color a little bit. Then you grab the shadow and transfer it to the paper here. Same technique, same areas. You might just need to put more layers. But you can either look at the picture and see where it looks dark and put it on your painting, or just wait for me to do the area. Try not to imagine things. Sometimes we imagine this is light without actually looking. So I'm just gonna finish this eye. Let's finish the shadows on the right eye. So very light pressure. And as it goes up right here, it's a little bit dark over here. And you can grab a Q-tip or a piece of paper, and you can go over it, over your pencil to blend it out a little bit. I want to do this part very, very light. Very light. So if you're doing charcoal, you just grab a little bit and you start on the dark areas and then you go up as you run out of charcoal. And as we do darker and darker areas, our very first very dark areas that we did in the beginning will no longer look so dark. So we might have to go back to them and make them darker again, but that's okay. There's a part here where it's a little bit darker on her nose. So I want to show that. And for the lower area here, I'm not going to draw a line. I'm actually just going to, sorry, I'm just going to make this a little bit lighter. So I want to draw or color a line, but a little bit thicker, but not touching the iris. So I'm going to leave a space here between my eye and this new line I'm making here. And there's a little triangle here that is dark. And right here in the very corner of the eye is very dark. And then it starts to come down this way, a little bit of a shade right, or a shadow right there. So make sure you're looking at your reference picture and see where is the darkest areas. Where is the darker area? Where is the lighter area? Where are the highlights? Anytime that you blend with a paper towel or with a brush, it's okay to blend, but make sure you don't do it too much because then your lights become darker and your dark areas become lighter. If everything looks too similar, you're not going to see the contrast. So I'm just getting a piece of paper towel, and if my paper towel is clean, I just gently do the light areas and then go to the dark spaces. Now my paper towel is dirty, so I don't want to go back to my light areas because I will make them darker. Don't spend too much time coloring one area. Just do a small layer and then go back with more layers if needed. And now I'm gonna take a darker pencil. You can do a 5B or a 6B, and I'm gonna do these lines again, because remember this first line we did? When we first did it, it looked very dark, but now that everything is darker, it doesn't look as dark anymore. So I wanna go over it again. Or with your charcoal, if you're using the charcoal. And this line is very thin, but very dark. I'm now going to do the left eye with charcoal, but you just keep doing the same technique, just on the left side. I know I'm going a little bit fast, but it's just so you can see the entire picture and you know what areas will be light or dark. But remember to take your time. We'll go back to the same areas and maybe do them a little bit darker. So I'm just doing using another piece of paper to do the charcoal. I grab it with my brush. So as soon as I grab it, my brush will be, or my area will be very dark. So I start on the darkest area that I see. And as I'm running out of charcoal on my brush, I go to the lighter areas. Try not to touch the paper with your fingers too much, because the grease that is on your hands. So let's say if I touch here, once I go over it with pencil or charcoal, it will look like a darker spot, and it's very hard to erase. So make sure you're not touching too much. I'm still with the same amount of charcoal, so I just loaded my brush once. Now that I don't have too much, I'm going over the light areas. See, it's a lot faster with charcoal, but I like both techniques. You may have more control with pencils, but if you bought a set that came with charcoal, it's always fun to use it from time to time. So it is a little bit darker over here. And under the eye. So I'm gonna grab more charcoal and go again. I'm starting on the darkest area. And then go to where I need to go. If you're doing this section with pencil, same as we did on this side, very light pressure. And if you need to go darker, you can just put more layers on top. So here between these two lines is a little bit darker. And now we're gonna draw the lower eyelid, same as this side. So this is my line. I wanna do a dark color just below. So I wanna leave a little bit of a space here. And I am going to grab my charcoal again and do this line right here, but on this side. So if you're using pencil, same thing, just grab maybe a 5B to do this line. Or the shadows, maybe a 3B here. Darkest 5B. So now I need to do, if you're using charcoal, sometimes the brush is too light, so I'm just gonna grab paper towel, grab the charcoal from my scrap piece of paper, and just go over the places that I need just a tad darker. There we go. And I'm going to do the eye now, like the iris. So I'm gonna do everything but the center. I'm gonna leave the center just blank for now. You can do the same with pencil. So with pencil, I am grabbing my 3B. If you only have one pencil, it's fine as well. You just put a little bit more layers. So I'm just coloring everything but the middle right there. Oops, sorry. I made this too white here. I'm just gonna fix it. And now I'm going to do the outer part of the iris. It's very dark. So I'm still using my 3B. And for this area, I suggest you look at the reference picture you took. So the outer parts are darker. There's a little bit of a triangle shape over here. So just look at the picture you took at the reference photo to see where the darks are, because when we imagine painting an eye, the iris, we just imagine painting like the circle, the center, maybe a little bit of a highlight, but it's usually never that perfect. In the pictures, you always see the reflection from what she's looking at. So you see strange shapes and all that. So don't imagine anything. Just go back to your picture. So I'm gonna show you right here. So you see this dark spot right here, a little triangle right here, and white spaces. So let's do that. And don't be afraid to do the darks very, very dark. And here, I'm just gonna go back to the lower area. Just redraw this line. If you don't have a space between your iris and this line right here, you can take your eraser, the corner of your eraser, and erase that a little bit over here. And I'm now grabbing maybe a 3B, 2 or 3B, and I'm doing a dark, not too dark, like a medium color right here. Where the white space is, there's usually a shadow in the corner. But I want you to notice there is a white space between this area and this line. There's a white line right here. So make sure you don't forget that white area. And anytime you want to do lighter shadows, lighter areas, you can always switch to an H pencil, to H, or maybe H, if you have it. If not, you just use a lot less pressure. I'm gonna do a little bit shadows here at the top. Sorry. So with charcoal, it's always going back and forth. The more back and forth, the more you repeat the process, you'll get better or more detail and better results. So now I'm gonna go back to my shadows over here, make them darker, because you notice how anytime we do something initially, it looks very dark, but as we go on and do other stuff, they don't look as dark anymore. So we have to go back and fix what needs to be dark. Make sure it's dark enough. And we're gonna do the eyebrows. Oh, sorry, let me actually do this iris with charcoal. So same idea. We want to leave the center white or blank. And for the outer space or the outer edge, it's always darker. Really important, don't imagine anything, just go back, look at the picture. I'm gonna erase that section. Similar shape as the other eye, just a little bit of a triangle here. Okay, we're gonna get started. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Remember, get your eraser and trace this line, this highlight right here. And the shadow inside the sclera, or the wider area of the eye right here. Make sure you look at the picture and see where the highlights are, or the light, almost white parts. I know it looks a little bit hard, but you just need to look at the picture, see, is this area dark or light? And what's the shape? Don't imagine things. Don't imagine shapes. Just draw what you see. We're gonna do the eyebrows and then the eyelashes, and we're done. If you have an eraser or white pencil, we're gonna do highlights. Oh, sorry, that's. So for the, so I'm just kind of going over the nose a little bit, so. And you can take your time after class, after we're done. If you feel like you want to keep working, going back and forth, go ahead. I think I've told you before, I never know when to finish a drawing. It's the hardest part to feel that you're done. So with the eyebrows, I'm just gonna color dark or shade a dark area, but not here. I'm gonna start right here, maybe. Very soft, left to right. That's my charcoal pencil, same thing. So a dark shadow needs to be darker eventually, but I wanted to do each hair stroke separately. So on the inner corner, they just go up like this, small hairs like that. And as I go left, they also start turning left and down. So that's my left. with charcoal. So make sure you don't completely color everything. You see that there's white spaces in between the lines. You want to leave that space. And same thing with my pencil. I'm using a 5B. Hair by hair, go up as I move right. They're longer and they are even horizontal at some point. You can even try a higher B. Just make sure your tip is quite pointy. Don't do too many. You want to leave a little bit of a white space right there. If you did do too many, you can just get a flat eraser and just kind of draw with your eraser. I think we're almost done. I'm gonna give you about a minute or so just to finish your eyebrows. Take your eraser, make it into a pointy end or the corner of your regular eraser, and just see at your reference photo which areas are almost pure white. You want to erase those areas, so make them lighter. So usually in the corner of the eye, maybe right here. It will really bring your drawing together, all the pieces. And the last thing, second last thing, we're gonna do the eyelashes. Sometimes they're tricky, but just do one by one. Take a pointy pencil or a paint or sharpen your pencil. And I'm gonna just draw them here so you see what the shape is. So they're usually curved initially and go up. As I go more to the right, they're more like this. So here, they're very pointing up. As I go to the right, they turn more like this. At the front, they're like this. As I turn right, my eyebrows also turn right. Sorry, my eyelashes. And just do one by one. Then they're smaller in the inner area of the eye, longer and thicker on the outer area. And here at the bottom, we did that lower line. I'm gonna also do some lashes. Just a few here and there, you don't need too many. At the bottom. Same with our charcoal. And at the bottom here. Just a few here and there. And that's our eye. The last step, as always, is doing your highlights. So you have two options. Option number one, get your eraser and just look at the picture, see which areas are pure white, and just make sure you erase that area very, very well. If you have a white charcoal pencil like this, you can use it. I really like this. You don't need it, but I do a lot of charcoal drawings, and I really like using white. Even with pencil drawings, you can always use white charcoal. So to do the very light or white areas. So inside the pupil is very white, of course. There is a tiny bit of white right here. I think this really brings it together. Inside right here. No need to worry about the nose. We can do that in another class. Okay, and as always, make sure you sign and date it. So once you're done, I will love to see your eyes. Next class, we'll go back to painting. Oh, that's very nice, Veronica.